This, ladies and gentlemen, is an historic day for the club. We've never won a league title before, and I want to say from the bottom of my heart, well done, guys. I can't wait to finally put something in our trophy cabinet after decades of hurt and pain. It'll really spur us on. Finally, winners, we can tell our family. We lost the trophy, guys. It's going to be an empty cabinet. As I said, spur us on, not Spurs. Joel, don't touch the cable with your bare hands. Oh, Jesus Christ, man. Yo guys, it is your boy Niran here, and you are watching FTW. This is of course the series where I bring to you the best and more frequently the worst of what football has to offer during the last 7 days. What's been kicking off in the world this week? Well, a massive knob has prevented progression this week. Who knew meatheads could bring down the bars so easily? That's right, we're talking about EDL marches. In a tough week for bald men with more face tattoos than GCSEs, right-wing rioters were driven off the streets in droves. Not before setting fire to hotels, libraries. What the fuck is this thing, Darren? It's a book. And causing more damage to Sunderland's reputation than a Zlatan Ibrahimovic scout report, the general public has reigned supreme over riotists and terrorists. They want to try this in South London. We don't even want to go to South London, by the way, let alone. As I said, obviously condemnable behaviour, and it might well need an immigrant 11 to stop it. I cannot wait to see Somalis 5-star skilling it down the wings instead of playing a simple ball across, and Tommy Robinson will be left fighting for his life when he gets flanked by pacey Jamaicans.
Now
the season is fast approaching and teams are preparing for 9 months of intensity, joy and heartache. Match sharpness is being attained in pre-season friendlies, or if you're Arsenal, committing federal offences.
The secret ingredient is crime.
As Mikel Arteta hired pickpockets to steal phones and wallets from his players around a training ground to make sure they're alert at all times. I know for a fact Zinchenko cried immediately. These robbers are going to be left extremely confused when they empty William Saliba's pockets and they find Erling Haaland in there. This happened at the dinner table, by the way. The pickpocketers will be taken away in custody when they steal a little bit too much whilst the players are busy eating.
What is the charge? Eating a meal? A succulent Chinese meal?
Speaking of which, Declan Rice will have questions for Mikel Arteta when he realises his jollof has been stolen, only to be left with no sympathy whatsoever.
And who do you think that's because of?
Mikel Arteta distracted at the dinner table as Gabriel Martinelli worries about losing his entire net worth. I once prepared my football club for a new season by committing armed robbery in the canteen. This is ridiculous, by the way. Where does it end? How can you prepare your players like this? No, Mikel, Bukayo Saka is not going to improve his output further this season by being strapped in an escape room held hostage by members of the Taliban. Now, if we just stop it there and go in a little bit closer, his fucking debit card expired in 2006. You know when Sead Kolasinac was threatened at knife point by thieves on a motorcycle? I'm starting to think this was the pilot episode. Mikel Arteta set up a trial to see what would happen. But these outlandish tactics did at least help Arsenal as they beat German invincible champions by Leverkusen in a friendly 4-1 the final score. Xabi Alonso was ready to give a team talk only to realise his house keys were on a flight to Shanghai. This one saw the return of Granit Xhaka to London, who was happy to see Kelechi from AFTV.
Oh, good.
Good to see you,
Yeah,
man.
good to see you as well.
Yeah.
How's everything?
It is so fun.
Oh, good.
Invincible.
Yeah.
How's you?
Yeah, we did it. How's everything?
I'm
All
alright.
Yeah, family good.
Everything good.
Are you
Your
coming to
family?
the game?
Yes, I am.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Like always now.
And he'll have been happy accidentally going into Arsenal's dressing room at full time after the victory. Elsewhere in friendly action, Manchester City faced off against Chelsea as the Blues continue to struggle for pre-season results. Erling Haaland took Marc Cucurella's chance personally, scoring a hat-trick here. And we'll say cheers to that. This man was taking absolutely no prisoners. On smoke after seeing Mark chat about rice and chorizo. Mark himself was starting to realise the error of his ways, terrified ahead of the new Premier League season.
What have I got myself into? I'm fucking shitting myself.
And he'll have to take matters into his own hands as the Norwegian Viking strides through for a 7th goal, throwing a bottle of Estrella at him as he is running in behind. Hey, you know what? It's crazy, yeah. I didn't mean Haaland. I meant Højlund, like Erasmus. Chelsea, trying to play out from the back here, ended in disaster under Enzo Maresca as they gave the ball away, easily conceding in what is turning out to be a pretty disappointing pre-season. Enzo Maresca was quoted as saying that these things are going to take time. It's not like playing on PlayStation. It's going to take more than 2 days. But to be honest with you, playing out from the back doesn't really work, mate, when half of your squad don't even recognise recognize each other yet. Do you think Mudryk knows what a Tosin Adara Bioyo is? After the game when Erling Haaland was celebrating the victory, interestingly, over on Insta, not with music, not with flight entertainment, just with his own thoughts, captioning this video saying that he raw dogged his flight home, no sleep. This man has a CPU, I'm telling you for facts. Jack Grealish was raw dogging it too, but he wasn't on the flight. Yeah, you see, this is going to be an interesting one to explain for the flight attendant who walks in on said dogging.
What is going on here?
Meanwhile, Phil Foden was left depressed, realising he'd missed out on impregnating somebody. Honestly though, a great day for Norwegian excellence. And I mean Oscar Bob, who scored here, the youngster. I don't see him getting talked enough really by like rival fans. As someone who is like a top youngster, I think Man City youth graduates do get overlooked, to be honest with you, because of how much money they spend. He is the real deal. Oscar, brother, if you fancy getting some consistent game time, then we can accommodate. Now, I mentioned Chelsea players not knowing each other. Their squad size has gone up even more, and their Wikipedia page is astounding, as their first team squad heads up to 54 names. Fans will quite literally not even recognise half the players that are sat on their bench. Now, obviously, I know some of these players are going to end up on loan or leaving the club in the case of like a Romelu Lukaku or Conor Gallagher, but their dressing room is going to need to be a hotel in West London at this point. Players are going to have to book in training beforehand. Yeah, so the next time I can get you in for a passing rondo, we're probably talking 3 Thursdays from now. You taking the fucking piss. Imagine being a goalkeeping coach at this football club, realising you've got to train 8 of them. Cole Palmer has not eaten hot food in 10 days because the canteen's overrun. For Enzo Fernandez, and he's left disappointed, realising he's got to put up with like 25 black people at the same time. And it's actually crazy to look at this entire list of players and not see one world-class player. That is horrendous money management. One man that is heading out of the door, though, is Conor Gallagher. The central midfielder, I spoke about it last week, he is now confirmed to be going to Atletico Madrid over in La Liga. And there was one point where this was the most expensive La Liga signing of the summer. Just let that one sink in for a little bit. According to Sky Sports, he made his decision on his future and heading over to Spain with just 1 minute to spare against the deadline that Atleti had outlined to him. Diego Simeone was ready to rub it in Chelsea fans' faces when the iMessage came through at 8:59 p.m. This is such an interesting signing, you know. I actually really want to see how this goes. It's a very Atleti signing. Obviously, Kieran Trippier's played on the Diego Simeone dare. It'll be interesting to see if he still gets into the England squad as readily, and whether he acclimatises to the culture when Duolingo only teaches him how to say pencil sharpener over a 3-week period. Now, Liverpool faced off against United in pre-season again, and it went badly for the Red Devils as Erik ten Hag continues to try and get them ready. Now, Fabio Carvalho scored a lovely goal, but the defending on show for this was a travesty. One feint from Fabio, and Casemiro was heading for an early retirement.
Oh, Jeezy.
I respect the solidarity, but there was no need, really, to take the knee in this situation.
The football's left them.
Andre Onana was a statue for this one, and promised United fans that there'd be more risk-taking in regards to playing out from the back. Honestly, I think United are risking enough putting him in the starting 11 to begin with, really. I can't wait for Rasmus Højlund to ask for the ball to go long when he's back from injury, only for Andre Onana to have a very concise response.
People can say what they want, I don't care.
He'll be running up to the halfway line, getting ready to risk it all, knuckleballing a free kick from 28 yards instead of actually being in between the sticks. A youngster called Will Fish unfortunately got injured during this one, wishing him a speedy recovery, but it adds to an ever-growing injury list to say that the season hasn't even started. What the fuck are United's physios even doing? We had an El Clasico friendly, or as friendly as an El Clasico can possibly be this week as well, and it was another El Clasico win in the US for Barcelona. A good victory for them to be able to talk about on their long road trip home from America. Do you think they were able to afford a plane ticket there? Nah, not a chance, mate. They'll be kicking off when they see Real Madrid supporters on a neighbouring ferry on their 3-month naval journey back to Catalonia. Ilkay Gundogan was good in this one and pulled off some disgusting skill to completely violate Real Madrid's defenders. Vini Jr., however, not quite perfecting such skill. Apparently in the week, Carlo Ancelotti was left frustrated at Jude Bellingham when he tried to call the Englishman, only for him to not pick up. He then called Jude off of Vinny Jr.'s phone, and Bellingham immediately picked it up. And Jude was taking absolutely no prisoners here.
And I went, fuck off, and put the phone down.
He clearly didn't want to, and this is bad, really. For his PR XP, his HR department are going to have to think of something here, saying he was too busy volunteering at an orphanage at the time. Now, one of his new teammates, Endrick, was once again interviewed this week. This kid has just got to stop doing interviews, by the way, because he said included in his inspirations as a footballer was an England legend. Finally, someone's put some respect on Jay Rodriguez's name. Sam Allardyce will be left surprised but impressed, realizing that he's inspired a generation here. So I said, fuck all of that Brazilian flair shit. Just have a cottage pie and get on with it. Yeah, one of his inspirations, Bobby Charlton. Bobby Charlton. Brother, your dad was not even around. He's going into school, yeah, in Brazil, having watched Bobby Charlton 1961-62 highlights on YouTube. His childhood must have been an absolute madness. So obviously, my presentation for the class today and for you, Mrs. João Benito Gomes da Silva, is about Lev Yashin, who is a goalkeeper that I grew up watching 2 years ago. Hendrick, this is a religious education lesson. What are you doing? If the Ballon d'Or was based on naming players from black and white television, Hendrick's winning it tomorrow, I'm telling you for facts. Now, on the theme of Brazilians, and Neymar slid into DMs of swimmer banished from Olympics for inappropriate behaviour in athletes' village. Yeah, fuck it, lads. The bills are getting paid again. That's what I'm talking about.
I want to kiss my mum properly.
Huh? This kid is incapable of acting correctly when it's been over 25 minutes since he disrespected his partner. What is going on? There's not a woman that has been in the news in the last 3 years that this man has not direct messaged on Instagram. And there's not been a time in which I've not documented it. I can't wait for his sister to mysteriously become an Olympic swimmer out of nowhere. Bro, honestly, well, you've just had a child. Man, I'm so happy for you. You know, like, you and your family, this must be like an amazing time for all of you. You know, like a matter of a month ago, literally a child is born into your family unit. Like, what are you thinking? How is life for you right now? I am inexplicably ready to have sex with other women. Hey, please, now, don't do that, man. You don't have to. Just text your wife, innit? Like, come on. Just please, I'm begging you. See, they're already writing stories about. Meanwhile, at the Olympics, and there was a rematch of the Qatar 2022 final between Argentina and France. Now, there was even more added spice outside the fact that it was a rematch of that final, given the Enzo Fernandez and co chant that Argentina's players had been singing on a bus after their Copa America victory earlier this year. And you could tell that there was that added spice. French defender Loic Bade shoulder barged an Argentinian forward off the ball and then screamed in his face as they were winning, "Sing that song now, you dickhead." Crystal Palace striker Jean-Philippe Mateta included that on his Insta post, and at full time, a fight would break out between the two sides. Argentina players clearly not taking the defeat too well. Oh man, I honestly, my heart bleeds for Otamendi. Like, really, I am sorry. You're gonna have French players singing songs about the Falklands Islands on the way home, and they don't even know what they are. Meanwhile, Thierry Henry was not letting any of that negative energy get to him, celebrating the fact that he'd taken his under-23 side to the final of the tournament. There's more international controversy for Spain, as UEFA have confirmed that Rodri and Alvaro Morata will be banned for one game after chants they made about Gibraltar being Spanish, following on from winning Euro 2024. Now, one game is not too much. Gibraltar expressed how happy they are at the decision. This is more a personal problem for Rodri. Such a decision may now not see him win the Ballon d'Or after a very impressive season for club and country, given the stipulations involved in winning the accolade. Meanwhile, for Arsenal boss Mikel Arteta, he knows how important Rodri is to Man City. He'll be reporting him to the FA for going on holiday to Gibraltar back in 2009.
Hi, good morning. Here to report a crime. Yeah. An international war crime.
Honestly, knowing Mikel, that war crime, probably theft at his own training ground. Now, the proposed 2030 World Cup stadiums have been announced for the competition that's going to be taking place in Portugal, Spain, and Morocco. The game is gone, with 3 countries hosting every single tournament. I've had enough of this. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the 2046 World Cup of the General African region. Poor Pedri's going to be left worse for wear when he's got to fly from Fiji to Sweden for the second group stage match of the tournament. Meanwhile, one man that might be in charge of England at the 2030 World Cup is Lee Carsley. The current under-21s boss looks as if he's about to become the current interim manager until maybe another option is found. But for now, Gareth Southgate's seen him replicate his entire career.
He copied my whole fucking flow, word for word, bar for bar.
To be fair though, look, I know Lee Carsley's not a big name, alright, maybe not as well known, but he gets the under-21s playing some beautiful football. But tiki-taka from a man called Lee. I've had enough of this.
I'm rapidly falling out of love with football.
Boys and girls, it's time for the FNG transfer roundup. Welcome one and all to the FNG Transfer Roundup, the last place to hear the news. First of all, news that Spain won Euro 2024. Wait, who's writing this? This happened like a month and a half ago. What do you mean the script writers are too busy? They were in EDL March. Oh, no wonder they're slow. Perhaps the biggest signing of the transfer window so far comes in the form of Atletico Madrid going in for Manchester City striker Julian Alvarez. Julian had been complaining about the climate and wanting to move somewhere warmer for his family, a request Bernardo Silva's been trying to make to Pep Guardiola for 4 years, but unfortunately he's too small to force it through. Though in reality, I know the real reason as to why Julian Alvarez wants to go. At West Ham, and there's the impressive signing of Borussia Dortmund striker Nicolas Füllkrug. The 31-year-old costs £30 million and marks the end of West Ham attempting to sign exotic strikers, going back to their roots of teethless men. Guess you could call him half-Krug, because there's only half the front teeth left. Nah, that's mean. Meanwhile, in France, and Paris Saint-Germain broke the bank to bring in Benfica youngster João Neves, a man who looks like he started playing football in 1989. An experienced member of an AC Milan dressing room in 2002, perhaps, therefore making him Hendrick's fourth favourite footballer of all time. Tottenham faced off against Bayern Munich this week, and Heung-min Son pretended that he didn't know South Korean teammate Kim Min-jae. Kim is going to be fuming when he next sees him on military service duty. Nah, to be fair, look, listen, they were holding hands a lot at the end of this video, you know. Listen, yo, you two. United news signing Joshua Zirkzee, who came in from Bologna, was interviewed this week, explaining what his game really is, suggesting he's not a traditional number 9 or a traditional number 10, more about 9.5.
It's because he uses him as a carrilero instead of a mezzala. Of course you want to see him in that enganche role because of the way he uses La Posa and hits the half spaces in his double pivot.
This brother's going to be Gabriel Jesus, but he likes stroke waffles instead. United's main signing doesn't score or create.
Manchester United.
In Japan now, we've got a Newcastle fan who had a unique experience for why he fell in love with the Magpies.
Because it's my life.
Why is it your life? Why did you choose to support Newcastle all the way out here in Japan?
It's like about 10 years ago, I watched a game. The game was so crazy, and Alan Pardew has a headbutt. That time I already fall in love with this team.
Isn't it mad to think that Alan Pardew headbutting someone awoke a love from a Japanese man in the moment? Meanwhile, evoking some love for Arsenal fans is probably this next clip of Neil Maupay attempting to step into a lift before almost doing his ACL and meniscus before the season's even started. And his former club and Ivan Toney was welcomed back to Brentford with a look on his face as if he thought he'd be at an actual big club by now. Get this man a no-look contract termination immediately. Back at Man City, and Kevin De Bruyne has got himself a new trim. That's Triple H, mate. I can't wait for his final move on Oscar Bob when the Norwegian thinks he's starting over him. Cole Palmer's new Ultimate Team card is out, and he looks shocked at his old rating in it. This man never has his mouth closed. The snore that this man would let out at the night time. No one slept in the England squad at Euro 2024. I'm telling you that for facts. He would breathe through his mouth underwater. Meanwhile, there was confusion for Aston Villa left-back Luca Dean, who had claims by a journalist suggesting that he'd agreed to move to Galatasaray. He said that this wasn't true, only for the journalist to then post the agreement onto Twitter. We've got an Alibaba Fabrizio Romano revealing actual documents, you know. Here we go. To court proceedings for breaking an NDA. Now, over in Spain, and there is a quite ridiculous story going on at Espanyol. Martin Braithwaite, the Danish striker, had left the club recently, and he's unhappy with how Espanyol have treated him, how the board treated him. So in response, he wants to buy the club and fire the entire board. This is the biggest rich flex, unbelievable main character energy. He's gonna sign himself just so that he can start again. Barca's board will be scrambling to release this man unceremoniously just so they can get some money in. This is ridiculous. By the way, I love this story. I really hope he pulls it off. Meanwhile, back at the Olympics, and his Spanish goalkeeper has had an absolute stinker trying to clear the ball away off her own defender. In Italy, and Juventus played a friendly against their own youth team, winning 4-0 here. Oh yeah, what a surprise, guys. I hope you're happy, Juventus. You absolutely stink. I mean, look, listen, to be fair, they're just getting some experience for their younger players. You know, I guess it's only like playing against each other in training. Dusan Vlahovic must be feeling great after dunking on 6-year-olds here for 90 minutes. There was a unique friendly this week between Roma and Barnsley. I don't know why these European clubs have decided they want to do a tour of the EFL, but Paulo Dybala scored against Barnsley, guys. This just shouldn't be running. And Paulo Dybala will have been left confused watching a Barnsley DM break out a Stella Artois on the 25th minute mark. At Cesena now, and these kids have got a bright future as a selection of the club's ultras. Meanwhile, shout out to Milan, who made a pledge for their women's side to continue to pay them and give them support, as well as an automatic contract extension if they fall pregnant during the final year of their deal. Definitely a breakthrough contract clause, I guess, and hopefully one that is picked up by a lot of other clubs in the women's side of the game. In France, and Paul Pogba linked up with Hezbollah this week, and I can confirm to you now, based off this interaction, Hezbollah simply does not know who Paul Pogba is. If Hezbollah had the PEDs that Pogba had with his small body, game over, by the way. Meanwhile, back at the Olympics, and this time for France. In Germany, and Naby Keita's disastrous spell at Werder Bremen looks like it's going to come come to an end. He's training on his own after picking up injuries and then just refusing to get on a team bus. Yeah, he's had a shocker of a time there. Nabi, don't even come home. Don't, actually, to be honest with you. Just stay where you are. Meanwhile, the Bundesliga 2 is going to be absolutely packed this year. There's some massive clubs down there at the moment in the second tier of German football, including FC Köln, who brought 50,000 fans to a pre-season game and produced this incredible scene of them in a local cathedral, belting out their support for the side. Hopefully we see them back in the Bundesliga soon. Now that it's time for your goals of the week, we have got 4 for you this time, and they're all incredible. It's been a ridiculous week for goals, and I think that will be shown by the fact that this is the first and therefore least impressive, coming from the under-20 game involving Mexico and Diego Sanchez with one of the sweetest volleys you're going to see all year. Lazio faced off against Southampton for our second goal of the week, and this flick up and bicycle kick is some beautiful acrobatics. Delightful. But what right-wing riots in England and Lazio start scoring goals like this in Southampton? In Uganda now, and shout out to Dennis Omedi, who has not only picked up the ball and produced a little bit of skill, he's cut back and then brought out a Rabona to lob it over the goalkeeper. One of the most unique goals I think we're going to have in goals of the week all year, but somehow isn't even the best goal of this FTW. That award and potentially a Puskás nomination, if not a Puskás award, goes to Walter Boo, who plays over at Lanús in Argentina. With a score level in the 90th minute, take it away, Walter. Hello all, and welcome to The Beautiful Game, the segment where we take a look at the poetic and brilliant side of the game that we love. We are back by popular demand for yet more glorious beauty. And that concludes The Beautiful Game. Over in Turkey, and there was an astounding Super Cup result between Besiktas and Galatasaray, as Besiktas were victorious over their Istanbul rivals 5-0. The Twitter reactions, slightly different between the two clubs, not gonna lie, as the 5th one went in. This is an act of terrorism, by the way, as far as Turkish football is concerned. This is warfare between two extremely passionate fan bases. A Besiktas fan goes for a high five with a Galatasaray supporter in work tomorrow, and it's ending disastrously. Ciro Immobile was the hero of the day. After joining from Lazio, he scored on his debut just 1 minute in. Talk about an instant impact. Meanwhile, Jose Mourinho was watching from a distance, knowing that he'll now go to war with both of these sides as Fenerbahce manager. In Conference League qualifying now, and it was extraordinary stuff at FC Noah of Armenia, as their goalkeeper Onyen Chancharevich scored from his own penalty area. The ball rolling back to him against AEK Athens. He's pummeled it long, I'm guessing wind assistance. It's bounced over his opposite number, and they took a 3-1 victory in the first leg. Ridiculous stuff. There was even more of a stupid situation though going on at Rangers versus Dynamo, where officials who were in charge of the game were arrested for stealing a road sign drunk in the local area. Imagine the PGMOL apology for that one. That's not going to be a very good look. Meanwhile, they might have been defeated 8-1 on aggregate, but Magpies of Gibraltar, the infamous pub team created by a group of friends on the island 10 years ago, actually took the lead against the mighty FC Copenhagen of Denmark in Conference League qualifying. They did, as I said, lose 8-1 in the end, but they were 1-0 up inside 15 minutes here, and that in itself is an impressive achievement. And speaking of smaller nations going toe-to-toe with the bigger boys, AC Virtus was so close to breaking history as a San Marinese side. No team from San Marino's ever made it to the 3rd round of European qualifying in history, and things were 2-2 on aggregate after regular time. However, 3 goals for their Estonian opponents in extra time meant that they did unfortunately go out, but good effort from them. In Portugal, and Porto came back from 3-0 down to win 4-3 in the Portuguese Super Cup. That is the definition of a remontada. Not very sporting though, in fairness. Starting the season like this, by the way, disastrous. Just go to the next season. Skip this one. In Croatia, and Gennaro Gattuso is back to being his usual self with his words for his assistant at Hajduk Split.
Hey Philippe, don't speak too much. Come on, very quickly, fuck off.
And out on the pitch, he was clearly very happy with one of his players. Bamba or Bumba? I'm trying to work out, to be honest with you. In the Netherlands, and Nutbredder's goalkeeper's been extremely unlucky here with his goal that he's conceded against Sparta Rotterdam. In off both posts and then in off you. That's outrageous. Meanwhile, in Argentina, and let's just keep things simple right at the start of this game. No foolishness, no dicking around. Just play it out from the back, gain a little bit of confidence, and then get into your own net, I guess.
That was shit.
In Switzerland now and at Young Boys, I think we've got the worst corner of all time. How'd you pick out your own goalkeeper from a corner, guys? What are we doing here? Meanwhile, in Brazil and at Grêmio versus Vasco da Gama, players will be lucky if they're picking out anyone at all, because the weather conditions are so bad that this buggy has managed to get stuck on the pitch, leaving tracks all over the place. A football pitch that looks like it's had Logan Sargent driving over it. It really is something. In Greenland, and one of the most unique leagues in the world has started. The Greenland League. I mean, I don't know if that was obvious already, probably. They've started, and it's an endearing league, I've got to say. Some of the backdrops are sensational, and fans, well, they've got to double as ball boys because there's no stands there. So, there might not be any stands, but fans will be giving out standing ovations when they see this banger that came from the league to make it 7-0. And shout-outs got to go to Australian minnows as well, as Oakley Cannons, South Melbourne, and Heidelberg United managed to pull off some sensational Australian Cup upsets, including knocking out Central Coast Mariners, who have won the A-League in the last 2 seasons. So ridiculous magic of the FA Cup stuff going on over there. The Uruguay Clasico took place this week between Nacional and Peñarol. One fan was watching it in a club in Ibiza and got the result that he wanted. Meanwhile, not the result that was probably wanted over in the J-League, as a player managed to nutmeg an assistant referee, a linesman from distance, and got himself sent off for it because it was deemed as kicking the ball at an official. So, yeah, you make of it what you will. I'm impressed, personally. Play on. Speaking of referees, back at the Olympics, though, now. Red. Clumping a referee's got to be an 8-month touchline ban. Meanwhile, there's sensational stuff going on at Botafogo, as a player goes down extremely easily under a challenge, gets the decision and the free kick that he wanted, only to immediately jump off the turf and start giving it large to the man that brought him down. Yeah, nah, you must be mad. It's a certified shithousery award. In Poland now, and Jagiellonia can count themselves extremely lucky, getting themselves on the score sheet thanks to this double deflection own goal. Life is good at Greifswald in Austria, as they're celebrating a 2-0 victory by getting their fans together for the conga. Anthony Knockhart's head absolutely went missing over on Insta. He's clearly had enough of Watford fans talking about the Troy Deeney moment. He retired from the beautiful game this week and was clearly getting a lot of grief for it still, and he unleashed the most head loss rant I think I've ever seen, to be honest with you. Scratch your eyes, you are really seeing the most extraordinary head loss here. Meanwhile, in Azerbaijan, and look, listen, I've seen this script before, okay? We're in Azerbaijan, that's what I remember. As a goalkeeper in the Azerbaijani league, just get the ball away, all right? You don't need to do Pep Guardiola tiki-taka style, or just do that, yes, calm. Yeah, fuck it, I'm not coaching these goalkeepers anymore. Now there is time for Still 0-0, and you guys know the score by now. This is a segment of the show where I bring to you the best of Sunday League and amateur football. And I think if there's one thing that we've learned in the history of Still 0-0, it's to keep things simple, alright? No one wants to see a show off out on a Sunday League pitch. No one wants to see you try and do mad skill moves in an amateur game. Unless you're gonna absolutely fuck them completely. We do want to see that. The worst back heel of all time. On to the weird stuff though now. Over in Bhutan now, in Asia, we've got an unusual transfer. A 1-day contract. Kazuki Honda is a national team hero, alright? One of the most exciting players that's come out of Japan before their most recent sort of start to a golden generation. He's played all across the world. In Brazil, all across Europe, and of course in Asia too. But he retired in 2021. He though has come out of retirement for 1 game to help a Bhutanese side. Haro FC of Bhutan are 1 game away from qualifying for the AFC Challenge Cup, which is the Asian equivalent of the Conference League. However, they need to beat a team from Nepal called Church Boys United if they want to actually qualify. So they've decided they need to enroll the help of Kazuki Honda to see them through that game. It's a one-off playoff, and he'll be named a hero if they do end up going through. In Indonesia though now, and one family in the nation were clearly inspired by a certain Argentine, because why is Lionel Messi Al-Fatri ending up in the Indonesian Under-17 Asian Cup squad? But finally, in some positive news, and shout out to Jean-Paul Boetius. I think I'm pronouncing that right, or Bertius, I don't know. He's a Dutchman who's played in the Netherlands and in Germany recently. He has overcome cancer treatment for the 2nd time in his career, which is beautiful to see, and now wishing him a speedy recovery and return, hopefully, to the football pitch soon. That, though, is going to wrap up football this week, and I hope you have enjoyed it. If you have, then feel free to slap a like on the video, and of course, subscribe if you are new to the channel. You can also follow me on social media. It is at officialfng on Twitter and on Insta. It's been a pleasure ranting at you guys today. Have a wonderful day, enjoy yourselves, and goodbye.